Hey everyone, Joe Waxman here. And in this video, I want to look at the conjunction of Chiron and Sun. Guys, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, so what is Chiron conjunct Sun? If you look online, you're going to get a lot of, I would say, partial information about Chiron, being that it's very cookie cutter, stereotype parroted ideas about what Chiron is and what Chiron isn't. And you know, you hear very it's always the same. Chiron's the wounded healer, and you'll probably have to deal with wounds and healing, and blah blah blah. That's basically the full extent of what you'll find anywhere in groups, mostly. And this is because people just learn astrology from books and then they apply it to life instead of learning from life and in making their decisions based on reality, right? And this is what I do. I'm actually looking at real life people and informing. And the reason I do this because I know people are dumb. I mean, that's basically the reason why, is because people are dumb and they don't do work and they just want, they read a book and they're like, oh, that's what Chiron is. Okay. It doesn't work that way in real life. You have to have the attitude of openness and discovery in order to understand astrology and discover astrology. And that's one of the gifts I have is really understanding that people don't know what they're talking about, and therefore I have to start from zero in order to figure this stuff out. And that's why I do what I do. That puts me at a unique advantage. And I'm not saying there are not other good astrologers out there who are also doing similar things. There are, right? But there are a lot of crap astrologers who don't want to look at reality, just like there are a lot of stupid people in the world. You know, they learn from books, they learn from universities, they never learn from real life, or they ignore real life in favor of what the authorities tell them. You know, it's that kind of thing, this very small mentality. In any case, Chiron is much more than wounded healer. I'm telling you. In fact, in most of these cases, in 90 some percentage, upper 90 percentage, it has nothing to do with wounds and healing. So, I mean, just put that in your Chiron pipe and smoke it. But yeah, Chiron, and just to put it succinctly, Chiron is a mythological creature. Okay, it's a centaur, but it's not even a real centaur. It's got a full human body and it's got a horses growing out of his butt. That's the image of Chiron. Therefore, and I've talked about this before, creativity is you know, one of the things that Chiron does extremely well. All kinds of creativity, right? Putting things together that don't normally go together, synthesizing things, making synthetic things, making weird things, right? And that's perfect for creative outlets, right? Having all sorts of, you know, things like crazy imagination and in movies and art and music and cinema, all that, acting. So you see a lot of that, and there might be some instances where there are people who are expressing the other side of Chiron, which is teacher, healer, that kind of thing, and maybe potentially weirdness, right? You'll see some weirdness because Chiron's a bit weird. He's odd. He was rejected because he was weird, right, by his mother. He was different, right? And then he got a wound, and so maybe we'll see some of that too. But anyway, let's go into some examples. I'm going to start with Aries, as usual. Second. I'm screen sharing. And so Marlon Brando is Chiron conjunct the Sun by 6 degrees in Aries. So if you just read the textbook and you're like, oh, Chiron conjunct the Sun, oh, you must be a wounded healer, right? You must heal your wounds. You must have a lot of wounds, and then you must heal them. And there must be something wrong with you. Oh, poor you. You know, you have a sorry life, that you'll probably have dysfunctions, and maybe one day you'll be a healer. I mean, that's what you'll probably get if you put this online, right? No, not at all. You get Marlon Brando, one of the greatest actors of all time. And what Chiron is doing here is basically allowing his personality to be very fictional, right? It's allowing him to express itself in very creative, imaginative ways, big, bold ways, right? Chiron is a minor planet, a dwarf planet that is in between Saturn and Uranus. It vacillates its orbit. It has a weird orbit, right? Sometimes it's close to Saturn, sometimes it's close to Libra, not Libra, Uranus, sorry. When it's in Aries, it's close to Uranus. When it's in Libra, it's close to Saturn. So that's the orbit it takes, weird ellipse. And it has rings, actually, like Saturn and Uranus. And it has a coma, so like a comet. So it has all these different qualities, and that's why it's great for acting, creativity, fictional stuff, really unrealistic kind of fictional stuff. And I'm not going to belabor, any of the details in Marlon Brando's chart. Like, obviously he's got, a grand fire trine and all sorts of other stuff. But fifth house, Sun and Chiron, yeah, it's Aries. He's got that real, aggressive masculine quality, that Aryan, exalted sun. He's great. So who else has it in Aries? Mariah Carey, okay, musician or singer. Victoria Beckham, certainly not a weirdo. Victoria Beckham, she's one of the most, successful, females, models, and all sorts of stuff. Giacomo Casanova, who is the playboy of the medieval era. Ewan McGregor, Pharrell Williams. Pharrell Williams is a little weird, I'll be honest, but he pulls it off and does it well. Hugh Hefner, Adrian Brody, and Jenna Jameson. Okay, so all kinds of people, right? And very successful people and beautiful people, and the whole gamut. Definitely not this stereotypes, tiny, parroted, incestuous idea of Chiron. I say incestuous because they're just, it's the stereotype that keeps that just gets parroted again and again and again. This is an incestuous definition of Chiron that's not related to reality. So let's move on to Taurus. You can tell I'm being critical of the bulk of the astrological community, which I am. They're pretty dumb. Audrey Hepburn, one of the great actresses of old. She was beautiful, right? So obviously Chiron conjunct the sun. One thing we could say is it does not make you facially disfigured. You're not going to turn into Elephant Man if you have Chiron conjunct the sun. You're going to be beautiful. You can be as beautiful as can be. You can be the most beautiful with Chiron conjunct the sun. It had nothing to do with that, right? You're not going to be some weird, ugly, disfigured troll. Okay? Chiron conjunct the sun. Audrey Hepburn, Taurus. And she has Jupiter and North Node. Also in Taurus, right? Moon in Pisces in the first house, so very expressive, very creative. So Neptune in the seventh, great for acting. Yeah, I'm not going to belabor this again. I'm going to try and make this a little bit shorter, so I'm going to speed through the all of them, but because it doesn't really, there's not that much significance here. Like I'm just trying to demonstrate that, no matter what sign it is in, it's fine. It really helps out with creativity a lot most of the time. And the main thing that I'm witnessing is a sort of a lot of creativity, right? That Chiron lends itself to, which is a vast departure from what you'd hear online. And people get really worried when they are like, oh, Chiron's on my chart somewhere. Oh my God. And it's nonsense. like they're just wrong and stupid, and they're not looking at reality. They're just reading textbooks and wounded healer. Oh no. So all the dum-dums repeating their stupidity. All right, Gemini. All right, wait, who else has it in Taurus? Sorry. Jessica Alba. She's gorgeous. Channing Tatum. John Cena. Rami Malek. Jim Jones of the Kool-Aid guy. Rosario Dawson. Shirley Temple. And Johannes Brahms. Highly, highly creative people, right? And you get some weirdos in there, but mostly, right? It's mostly like really, really top level, beautiful, you know, creative actors, musicians. And then we get Shia LaBeouf. Spelled in his name wrong. All right, for Gemini. Now we know he's a Gemini. I know he's a Gemini because he's kind of crazy. Geminis are kind of crazy. And he's also got Sun opposite Uranus. So that's like super kind of reactive, you know what I mean? Like I've heard he just like punched some guy in the face. He's kind of dumb. Like, let's be honest, he's kind of dumb because it was like he's one of these stupid Hollywood liberals. They're all dumb, right? But anyway, he's a pretty good actor, I think. I mean, I like him because he's so like he's energetic, right? It's that Uranus, the Gemini and Uranus combination, Uranus and Sag, opposite Gemini Sun, and then Chiron's in there. And so he can play all sorts of crazy roles, right? And he's pretty good at it. He's got a square to Jupiter in Pisces in the first house. That's interesting, definitely. But Chiron is not, it makes him a little weird, but in a good way, right? Like he's good weird. I mean, I like him as an actor, but like I think he's dumb as far as like his political understanding, right? And he's got, you know, Mars and Capricorn, so he's pretty aggressive, right? But in any case, yeah, that is Shia LaBeouf, Sun and Chiron in the fourth house. So yeah, he could be you know, fourth house Gemini Sun. That's interesting. Like for an actor, I think like maybe he likes to be at home a lot, likes to own land, likes to have real estate, things like that. In any case, I have no idea. I'm just saying. All right. Maybe he likes to garden and farm. That happens with fourth house. In any case, that's Shia LaBeouf, Gemini. And Rafael Nadal is another Gemini Chiron. And I was looking at her because I don't know who Rafael Nadal is. And I'm still not sure who she is. So I did look it up and now I forget. But she's somebody. She's somebody important and successful and famous. And then Kendrick Lamar, I guess he's a rapper. Bar Raffaele, I know she's like a model, I think. I can't remember. And then Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. And they're a little weird, right? But it doesn't, Chiron conjunct the sun, again, does not interfere with a person's looks. Chiron actually the looks of Chiron is good, like apparently, because sun does influence how you look. So whatever planets are conjunct the sun, that's going to influence your face. Chiron is not, you know, negatively affecting any of these people's looks. They're all beautiful people. Make them a little weird, but that's good for Hollywood. It's good for creativity. It's good for any sort of the arts. Because it gives you an edge. It gives you an extra edge, you know, like you need to stand out a bit in the arts. Otherwise, you're just like, you know, wallpaper. And who wants that? Nobody. $1 million paintings and $1 million, you know, the greatest music, greatest actors, all of them, they're a little weird because that's what makes them unique, right? Otherwise they don't stand out. So Cancer. We're gonna go to Margot Robbie, and she's another Margot Robbie. Oh, she was I didn't do it right, sorry. Wrong things. She was in the Suicide Squad, I think. Harley Quinn. Harley. Yeah. So great actress. And Chiron is perfect for this. I'll tell you why. Because Chiron has that superhero quality, right? So Chiron has that ultra fiction. It's not just fiction. It's a departure from reality. Because Chiron is so unique, so weird, so different that it's just like unrealistic. And so people with Chiron conjunct the sun, could play roles that are unrealistic, so like superheroes or anything else that's just like weird, departure from reality, surrealistic, right? Anything like that, it really helps out with. So Chiron conjunct the sun in Cancer with Jupiter in Cancer, Cancer ascendant. So she's very Cancerian, right? And it's not hurting her looks at all. She's gorgeous, right? And who else has it in Cancer? Ringo Starr, Patrick Stewart, great. He's a great Shakespearean actor. Alex Trebek of Jeopardy fame. These people are like, and this is not just me cherry picking. These are the Chiron conjunct the sun main representatives, meaning that you're not getting like all these scientists and like philosophers and weird like politicians. I mean, some, but it's mostly very creative people. Is the point? That's the theme. Is that Chiron, at least conjunct the sun, is excellent for creative pursuits. Excellent. Let's go to Leo. Martha Stewart. Miss Martha Stewart. Snoop Dogg's girlfriend. I'm just kidding. It's not the girlfriend, but they did have I don't know what they did. They were friends, I guess. Martha Stewart. And she went to jail, just interestingly enough. Jupiter and Gemini in the 8th. That's why she's like, has no problem stealing. Because other people's money, Gemini hands, Jupiter in detriment, doesn't behave very well. She likes in Jupiter's excess, right? So she's definitely not above taking what's not hers. And Venus and Virgo, it's very kind of stingy, whatnot. But yeah, it's very prominent. Sun in Leo, conjunct Chiron, and then Pluto. Ooh. Right. Yeah, she's got her Mars in Aries, in the 6th house. Wow, do not cross her. She could be vicious. Mars in the 6th, especially in good dignity, is strong as hell. They will fight. Right. That's like the prime position for Mars, to have like a really vicious, strong Mars. Not vicious, but like strong fighting Mars. Right. She's got a lot of Virgo too, which is why Virgo in 6th house, which is why she's all into like the cooking and the homemaking and all that. Right. That's very Virgo. And Leo for TV and all that. But yeah, her ascendant lord's right in the 6th house. But yeah, Martha Stewart, she's great, extremely successful. And the Chiron here, it really helps her be on camera. Plus the Pluto is all about like power and control. It's similar, it's that definitely a bit wanting more, that desirous nature, right? Pluto is deeply desirous for power and control and resources. All right. Who else has it in Leo? Mae West. Mae West was she was that old actress. She's very sexy. She's like, why don't you come up and see me sometime? And then Jerry Garcia, Carol Delevingne. She's another one. She's a model. Okay. And then Cole Sprouse, he's an actor. Not that many in Leo as the other ones, some of the other ones, but anyway, some big names there. Again, extremely, like camera friendly people. Chiron is not detracting anyone from the camera, at least conjunct the sun. And creativity, obviously. All right, let's go to Virgo. And I'm just showing you like endless examples of this. Just basically to say what everyone thinks of Chiron is pretty much wrong. And just take a look in real life instead of, like forcing the definition on people and be like, oh, you're wounded. And they're like, no, I'm not. I'm like, hey, the book says you are, so you are. You must be. You're just in denial. All right. And guys, I'm criticizing myself because I was guilty of this at first, like just really having like a textbook, narrow, dogmatic definition of the planets and what they mean until I started looking for myself. And it's like, oh, wow, these planets can mean so much more than what, the books say. All right. So where are we? Barry White. Right. Barry White, if you're young and unfamiliar with Barry White, he's this what songs did he sing? He's a black singer, and he's like got this really deep, powerful voice, and he's very like sensual and sexual, right? Well, of course, he's got his North Node and Moon in Cancer in the 7th house, so he's all about like caring, obsessively caring for women. And that's why his songs are like very like, like this, romantic, and I don't know, they're kind of cool. I like them. He's got his Venus in Libra, so he's very, he's very warm and friendly, and he's got a lot of Virgo too, so very caretaking. He's like a big burly man who kind of, not to detract from his manliness, but acts a little bit like a woman, like he wants to take care of you. Anyway, Sun conjunct Chiron in Virgo, Jupiter, Mercury in Virgo, exalted Mercury. And so why is, if you look at his second house, why is he a singer? Because Jupiter's ruling his second house. Jupiter's in Virgo, opposite. Well, number one, it's opposite. So therefore, yes, it's in detriment, but Jupiter is reflecting onto the second house. But also, you could look at each sign has more than one lord. You can say domicile lord, and you could look at Neptune as well, but you could also look at Venus, which is the exaltation lord. Venus is in domicile in Libra, so there. And then Venus conjunct Mars is pretty hot. Like that's for male, man or woman. It creates intense, sensuality, sexuality, right? Because those are the two. I mean, that's how you tell if somebody's like, very strongly sexual or asexual or bisexual, by the relationship between Venus and Mars. And so he's very sexual and a little bit, he's soft, like he's a little bit feminine, not in a gay way, but just, in a very cuddly way. He's like a big teddy bear. Right. In any case, that's Barry White. And Roger Waters also has it in Virgo, and he's kind of annoying, but still very successful and famous. Gloria Gaynor, Neil Donald Walsh, and Neil Donald Walsh has more like almost like the textbook stereotype of Chiron. He was very wounded before he wrote Conversations with God. He was a Christian. Well, he is a Christian, and then he had some major issues like his car crash, and he lost his job, and he was homeless, living in a tent. And then he started writing Conversations with God, and just took off, blew up. So he has this kind of like, wounded reject kind of thing that becomes like this healer teacher kind of, and that fits the bill. And so I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just it's not nearly the whole picture. And then Kiki Palmer, and she's an actress, also has it in Virgo. So let's go to Libra. And here we're going to look at another one who's a bit more stereotypical of Chiron. Deepak Chopra. Although I'm going to say that Deepak Chopra is also kind of an actor, right? He's kind of an actor. He's not as far as like real deal, legit spiritual teachers. He's kind of stretching it. He's a writer and an actor and a businessman, and that's why he's so successful. But he does play the role of this Chironic type of healer, teacher kind of thing, spiritual guru. He's a little bit phony, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, in my opinion, right? But he does have a lot of ninth house activity, and then ninth house Lord Mars is in domicile in Scorpio. But Libra always, especially Libra Sun, they're, great actors, great salespeople, great at, a lot of things like dealing with people, but they do have it can be criticized for being shallow, superficial, fake, right? Of course, he's got a lot of Scorpio to back that up, but still, I mean, the Libra Suns are going to be Libra Suns. They have that, very, well, it's not tons of dignity there, but in any case, I mean, everyone's has their strengths and weaknesses. I'm not particularly criticizing him. He does well for himself, but he definitely has that Chironic, stereotype. I don't know about the wounded part, but definitely like healer, teacher kind of thing, right? In the 8th house. And then Venus, 8th lord's in Sag. So he's combining like mysticism and spirituality and things like that. And he's also a writer. Venus is the 3rd lord. North node in Gemini, Venus in Sag, pretty high, pretty prominent. 9th house, south node, in any case. Bella Hadid is another, and she's probably an actress or a model. I mean, they all are. It's basically, anyone famous female who I don't know is an actress or model. maybe a singer. I mean, and they're sometimes all three. That's like all these names who I don't know. There's like actress, model, singer, basically. Buster Keaton, he's an old actor. Brian Ferry, he's a great singer. Suzanne Summers, Three's Company actress. All right, let's go to Scorpio. We got some scary people in Scorpio. Scorpio. Clinton, who pretends to be a politician, but she's really a crime lord, crime boss. I mean, I'm not kidding. In case you think I'm just joking. She's scary as can be, but she tries to pretend like she's all like friendly politician, like they all try and pretend, but like you see the scorn on her face. She can't hide it. Like she cannot hide it when she's angry. She's thinking like, I am so going to murder you. I'm so going to suicide you. She cannot hide her hatred. And she tries to be, oh, I'm so nice. I'm such a good person. No, just look at all this Scorpio sun, Chiron, Venus, Mercury, ascendant, south node, and then Jupiter's in Sag at 0 degrees. And then if that's not enough, Saturn, Pluto, Mars, all conjunct in Leo. I mean, the pride, the ego. I mean, I have Mars and Saturn in Leo in the 10th house. I get it, right? She's got Pluto there as well. It's even worse. and it's like perfectly square to Scorpio. It's all Scorpio and Leo. Well, she's got the, Pisces moon, so she has an active imagination and maybe a little delusional or a lot delusional at times. And Saturn is basically square the nodes. Oh my God. I mean, and not that you, none of this, like, astrology tells the truth. Astrology tells the truth. People do not tell the truth. Astrology tells the truth. This is like one of the most intense charts I've ever seen. Like, this woman is not messing around. She really is like a crime lord. Super egotistical. And I know, because I battle this stuff within myself. I'm Scorpio ascendant with Mars in Leo, conjunct the MC. I mean, hers is, it's the 10th whole sign house, even though her MC is in Virgo. It's still similar, right? I know how much my ego gets to me. I know how much, like, I want to, fight the public with this Mars and Leo. And it's like, but she's got Pluto there too. It's like, oh my God. But Chiron gets her, Chiron is here. It's closer to Venus, but it's still allowing her to be kind of like this actress, this very creative. She's a crime lord, and she's pretending to be a politician. That's Chiron helping her out there with the acting. So you can see, again, it's allowing her to be like in disguise, right? This weird superhero. Clark Kent really is Superman kind of thing, She's pretending to be Hillary Clinton, the politician. In reality, she's Hillary Clinton, the crime lord. So that's interesting. And so who else has it in Scorpio? King Charles, also master of disguise. Joseph Goebbels, who was the Nazi propaganda minister. Okay. Richard Dreyfuss, who's an excellent actor. Joe Mantegna, another actor. Dorothy Day, who is an activist. And she has more of she was a Christian activist in the 60s, I think. And she has a bit more of the stereotypical Chiron, this wounded healer archetype. Yeah. Let's move on to Sagittarius. And we're going to pull up a great artist, great musician, great songwriter. Tom Waits is actually way more talented than people realize, because he writes a lot of music for other musicians who go on to make hits. Like, he's written a lot of songs, and I don't know all of them, but I know, like, he wrote Wind Beneath My Wings for I want to say Belinda Carlisle, but I don't know if that's correct. No, it's not Belinda. It's somebody else. I can't remember. Whoever sung Wind Beneath My Wings, Tom Waits wrote that, and his songs are heavily covered. Downtown Train, you probably thought Rod Stewart wrote that. Tom Waits, that's a Tom Waits song. So yeah, Sun conjunct Chiron, conjunct the ascendant, conjunct Mercury, right? First house, or 12th first, right? Highly creative. And he's weird too. So Chiron is definitely helping him be weird, but it works so well for him. He pulls it off like a magician, Weird is good in art, right? It helps create like this, and he's got this fantastic Jupiter, Venus conjunction in Aquarius, which gives him this tremendous sense of humor. He's a very dry kind of guy, but if you listen to him speak, he's incredibly witty and funny. So that's Tom Waits. I love him. I've listened to tons of his music. Right. So who else has it in Sagittarius? Pablo Escobar, the drug kingpin, Pablo Escobar, and definitely not a wounded healer, but Chiron may have given him a sort of costume, or allowed him to pretend in some ways to fool people, I guess you could say. Like, you know, maybe he had an alternate identity that he could put on when he wanted to. Ozzy Osbourne, definitely a bit weird. Jeff Bridges, Tom Waits, Don Johnson. So, I mean, you're getting a whole, you know, a whole bunch of different kind of people, but mostly actors, musicians, creative types. Tom Waits also acts a lot, and the roles he plays are fantastic. Like definitely, like he was in Bram Stoker's Dracula. He played like this little guy eating bugs, this crazy. I mean, you'd know him if you saw him, but he was like in the jail cell, like eating bugs, and he's a crazy guy. So that's very Chironic. Let's go to Capricorn. And he plays a lot of movies, and he's always usually like extras. One of the all-time greats actors, Cary Grant, with like the most, you know, one of the most stereotypical, not stereo, that's the wrong word. For an actor, for an, you know, A-level alpha male actor, he's just got like the face that, like, you know, could be the model for all faces, right? Cary Grant. Especially for old-timey movies, maybe not anymore, but he was like on the top of the list of like all actors, maybe next to Humphrey Bogart, right? But and then Mercury's in between Chiron and Sun, so obviously, but that definitely is not hurting him. I mean, it's just making his expression a bit more expressive, right? Chiron is helping the active acting, sorry, active acting ability, allowing him to not be not conform. Chiron is non-conformist. It has that Uranian quality of breaking the mold and just being really unique and different and expressive and completely yourself. Chiron allows a person to just be themselves because it's so, you know, it's just not, it's not following any rules. It's like it's just completely doing its own thing and doesn't care. It's like letting it all hang out. It's you know, it's got its own orbit. It's got rings. It's got a tail that no other planet has. A cometary coma, but it's not a comet. It's a minor planet, and I also think it's weirdly shaped. So it's just breaking every single rule there is to be broken, right? So again, for creativity, excellent. And certainly not, you know, in any way causing some sort of deformities or wounds or rejection. So all these people whining about Chiron, just shut up. It's probably a benefit, if anything. Now, I will say that Chiron, when it's in you know, has a bad aspect, a square in conjunct, that's probably when you're getting like the more wounds and rejection type thing. So I mean, it's not, again, it's not all wrong. It's just a lot of times wrong. So by wrong, I mean people's interpretation of what Chiron means. Let's go to, all right. Who else has in Capricorn? Kevin Costner, Greta Thunberg, and she is a bit weird. Howard Stern, he's weird too, but again, they're making it work with him. Marlene Dietrich, she's an old actress, I think, and Pat Benatar, she's a singer. All right. What the Dickens? Charles Dickens. So, Sun conjunct Chiron, I mean, he has it without any interference. Sun conjunct Chiron in Aquarius. And again, Charles Dickens is rated as the second greatest author of all time, the second greatest writer. And that's you know, it's subjective, so you could argue about that, but that's not the point. The point is that he's very, very highly rated and celebrated. And this Sun conjunct Chiron certainly does not impede on his creativity, and it probably helps out a lot, right? Because we're seeing that all these people, 90 some, you know, 95%, I'll say, just to be modest about it, low estimate, are creative types, actors, musicians, a lot of models, artists, that sort of thing. So it allows him to think about, all sorts of crazy scenarios that would be, unlikely or implausible in real life. Conjunct his sun, all right? Especially in Aquarius. Aquarius is a weird sign. But who else has it in Aquarius? Nicolas Sarkozy, I think he's a French. He's obviously not the president. I think he was an old French president. I can't remember. Ellen DeGeneres. Bill Maher, James Spader, Jonathan Rotten, as I like to call him, Jonathan Rotten. No, Johnny Rotten, John Lydon, actually. Christian Dior, and John McEnroe, the very angry tennis player from the 80s. I think everyone who's a little bit older knows who John McEnroe is. He used to smash his tennis rackets on the court because he's so angry. All right, let's go to Pisces. And for Pisces, we have Mr. Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan. And he's got an amazing chart, Billy Corgan. I just gotta say, I'm sure he's probably very difficult to deal with, probably a tyrant, because he's got besides the Sun conjunct Chiron by 1 degree in the 7th, and he's weird, right? But in a good way. Makes good music. A little too radio friendly for me. I was never like super impressed by, even though they tried to be edgy, still just a little not for my taste. I need a bit more authenticity. But in any case, Sun in Saturn in Aries and Venus in Aries in the 7th. So you know that he's hard to deal with. He's demanding. He is a tyrant. He's probably like a whiny baby a lot of the times, demanding he has his way. His Mercury is stationary and debilitated in detriment. So it's like a highly creative Mercury, not logical, not not good for math or science or anything like that, but for creative purposes, stationary Mercury, yes, excellent, right? And then Mars and Scorpio in the 2nd house with South Node, singing, Jupiter in Cancer. Look at this great, fantastic kite, and he's got also the Pluto conjunct Uranus on the ascendant. And this was seeing 3 rock stars, actually: Kurt Cobain, Billy Corgan, and the third one is I kind of forget his name, but you'll know who I'm talking about. He was the guitarist for I just covered his chart for Jane's Addiction, and he's the judge on Ink Masters, right? Dave Navarro, right? All 3 have this signature on the ascendant, right? All powerful musicians, and they have that dark, intense vibe going on. Right? So that's what that does, and not an easy combination actually. But Dave Navarro has his Mars in Libra, so he's a bit more passive, even though he looks really dark and aggressive. He's not. Billy Corgan actually is. Billy Corgan is probably a jerk. Like, if I'm being honest, he's probably really aggressive. And just so, in fact, he's very creative, so I'll give him that. But he's like, it's going to his head, I think, probably because of his, Saturn and Venus and Aries, like demanding tyrant, right? And highly active, creative, crazy kind of mind with Moon and Gemini. Any case, Moon and Chiron, definitely not hurting his creativity. Where are the nodes? South node, North node, 8th house. So definitely, like, as he gets older, he's going more into hiding in the 8th house, going into deep things. Yeah, who knows what. In any case, that is Pisces. And so who else has it in Pisces? Juliette Binoche, she's an actress. John Bon Jovi, New Jersey rocker. And then Seal. And crikey, Steve Irwin. Charles Barkley. And Joel Osteen, the preacher. He's like the mega church guy. And he also has Sun conjunct Jupiter, I believe. And then Jean Harlow. All right. So she's an old actress. So you guys are getting like, this is like with some of the other conjunctions, like you're getting a lot of scientists, you're getting a lot of different kinds of people, but this is like all creative types. So Chiron is highly creative is what I'm trying to get at. Chiron is highly, highly creative, right? And we'll see that again and again. I'm going to do all the Chiron conjunctions, and you're going to learn that Chiron is not what people are saying. And now if you watch this, you just can't listen to this parroted weak astrology anymore and just take that in. You're going to have to change your mindset and realize that a lot of that stuff is garbage. Okay, so I'm proving that a lot of the astrology out there is garbage. All right, so any case, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. And my next class will be not next Sunday. I'm not sure the day. I have to look up the date. I'll let you know. And I'm going to make a theme. I'm going to do a presentation. This one, I think it will either be on. We might cover retrogrades. Do a whole what each planet in retrograde means and how it expresses itself. So I'll get that together, and yeah, just email me to get on the list, and book a reading with me. My website is macroastrology.com. My email is macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com. And one thing you can be sure of if you book a reading with me is I don't do stereotypes. Everything I know is based on reality, because that's what I find to be true, and that's how I work. That's what I do. All right, guys, that's it for now. All right.